What is going on, everybody? Terror Haunts here, and today I'm going to be giving you my honest and unbiased review of Terrifier 3. Now, I saw Terrifier 1 a few years back for the first time, and, well, it was very indie. You could tell it was very low budget. There wasn't much of a plot going on, and the acting was kind of meh on most parts, but the character Art the Clown I thought was cool at the time, but I didn't think much of it. Then Terrifier 2 got announced, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. So I decided to give it a fair shot, and to my surprise, I liked it. It was slightly less gorier than I thought it would be. I thought it was going to basically be over the top. Don't get me wrong, the bedroom scene, holy crap, that was a lot. But it's not as gory as I thought it would be, considering the first one doesn't really have that much in it either. It does have some very over-the-top brutal kills, however, it's not as gory as 3 is, which is where we are now. Terrifier 3 came out 3 days ago, and let me just say, my God, it is a masterpiece. Terrifier 3 is a masterpiece. It is a love letter to the special effects industry. Where do I begin? Let's start with Art the Clown in this movie. Art the Clown in Terrifier 3 is pretty much the exact same design. However, there are some changes. Art the Clown in the movie has a lot more facial expression. He is very, very expressive in this movie, and I love that. I want them to add a big amount of facial expressions to Art the Clown a lot more. And his eyes, he now wears contacts on this. Well, the actor does, but Art has mostly white eyes with very tiny black pupil, and I really like the design. I really like the new design for Art, and honestly, I think I heard somewhere that number 4 might be the last one, and if that is the case, I hope they decide to keep this version of Art with those pupils in the next one, because I really like this look. However, I honestly really hope we might get more Terrifier movies than just 4. But we're not there yet. Let's go back to 3. Tom Savini. When I heard Tom Savini was being brought in to do the gore and special effects, I knew this movie was going to be much. I did not expect it to be this much. And let me tell you, to those who are excited to see this movie for the gore, you are not going to be disappointed. I'm going to be completely real with you. Terrifier 3 is probably one of the goriest horror movies I've ever seen, and that is saying something because I have seen some of the most obscure, over-the-top, crazy horror movies. It honestly makes Saw look tame. Yet again, Saw has never killed kids. Now, let's get into the movie itself, the plot-wise. So, in Terrifier 3, Art the Clown is back. It starts off with him going into a home, and he butchers up a family, and the way he does is absolutely brutal. He goes inside, and basically, he's in the Santa Claus costume, and instead of pulling out presents to put under the tree, he pulls out an axe. He goes upstairs while a little girl watches from behind him, which he doesn't know at the time, and he goes into the little girl's brother's room. He starts talking for a second because he thinks it's his sister or something going into his room, and you just hear whack. You just hear whack after whack after whack, and you hear just blood and guts mixing together and shit. You hear the sounds of him whacking and chopping up that little kid, and you don't even see it. It's off screen, but even though it's off screen, each time he whacks down and chops him up even more, you just feel it. It's the first kill of the movie, and it just sets the tone for the whole film. Because for the first little part of the film, you don't even see Art's face. He's just dead silent, no jokes, grabs the axe out of the sack, walks upstairs quietly, no jokes, like no jokingly walking around, dead silent, hard footsteps, chops up the little boy, walks out of the room, turns the light off, closes the door. Then walks into her parents' room, starts chopping into her dad's side with an axe. Her mom wakes up. Then you see Art's face. He starts laughing at her while still chopping up the husband. She starts running. He pulls the axe out, points at her as if saying, "You're next." Then as she's running, he starts chasing after her. She tries to go over to her daughter's room to see if she's there to warn her, but she's not. She closes the door behind her to her bedroom so that Art is pretty much forced to cut his way out, which results in a Here's Johnny reference because, you have to do that. And after that, you then see Art the Clown bust out, and then right as she's opening the door to her son's room, you see the aftermath of Art with her son. He is in pieces. This little, I think 8 to 10-year-old boy is chopped up in pieces, and they did not hold back on the gore. So she runs down the stairs. Art the Clown whacks her in the spine with the axe and chops right directly into her head, then chops her up. Then he eats a plate of milk and cookie and does the dishes. Art the Clown does the dishes after chopping up an entire family. Then he kills the daughter. Already right there, as you can tell, that's peak cinema. But then, let's just move on to some of the other parts of the movie. How Art the Clown gets the Santa suit. Well, Art finds a guy dressed as Santa in a bar, goes in there all giddy like, "Oh my god, it's Santa Claus." Well, Santa buys a drink for Art. Art drinks it, spits it back out in Santa's face, pisses on his lap, shoots the bartender and Santa's drinking buddy, then cryogenically freezes Santa Claus, steals his costume, cryogenically freezes him and breaks the cryogenically frozen parts, cryogenically freezes his face, breaks his face in, and then steals his actual beard from his face, which has his skin still attached to it. Then the mall scene. Art the Clown goes into a mall dressed as a mall Santa, and all the kids are like, "Oh my god, Santa." He starts handing out actual presents until one of the presents is a box that he hands to a little boy. As Art is getting thrown out, pretty much, the little boy opens up the present. It is a bomb. And it blows up all the kids there, including the real mall Santa. And that's also when we get our beautiful cameo from Tom Savini. Because, if you're going to have Tom Savini do your effects in the movie, for one, you got to pay him. Secondly, you got to pay the Savini tax of giving him a cameo. Because that's just Tom's thing. And then after that, it's just a wild ride. Because throughout the whole movie, you're also seeing the girl that he mauled from the first and second movie. That he mauled in the first movie that then came back in the end of the second movie. And we get a flashback to the actual night of, during Terrifier 2. And Art the Clown has his head chopped off. You see Art the Clown walking around without his head. He walks around town, goes to the mental hospital, strangles a guard to death, and then puts his head back on and takes the girl with her, who is now possessed by a demon. Now, besides all that, let's get to the end of the movie, because this is honestly one of the very rare instances where the villain wins. Most of the time, you don't see this in film. Most of the time, the hero wins, villains lost, yada yada. No, the villain wins this movie. Art wins. How does he win, you may ask? He wins by killing her uncle by chopping off his head, cutting out his insides, and crucifying him to a wall. He wins by kidnapping Sienna and her aunt taping them up to chairs. There's a wrapped up present in front of them. They take off the wrapping paper. It's revealed to be a skull that's pretty much has its face entirely filleted off. And it's covered in rats chewing on the flesh. And they lead them to believe that, oh, that's her aunt's daughter, aka Sienna's niece. And then what happens is Art takes this glass tube and takes a mallet and forces it down her throat by whacking it with the mallet, which pretty much breaks her jaw in the process. Not only that, he takes a blowtorch, puts rats down the tube, and uses a blowtorch to make them crawl down into her throat before slicing her throat open and letting the rats crawl back out, and then stomps the rats to death. Oh, and then he drops the bombshell by picking up the skull, and then you see him doing something, but he's standing in front of it, so you can't tell at first. Oh, then it's revealed that that's Jonathan, Sienna's brother. He puts glasses on the skull, that is Jonathan's. And then you hear like the ghost voice of Jonathan or whatever. That is Jonathan. Her brother from Terrifier 2 is now fucking dead. That sent shock through the whole theater when I went. And pretty much the demon-possessed girl that's working with Art, she tries to possess Sienna's body because, they have to have a new host for the demon to transfer to. But Sienna's too powerful, strong, yada yada. So basically, they're about to kill her niece. And her niece says, well, let Sienna at least open up my Christmas present that I was going to give her. And the demon, for some reason, is like, you know what? That wouldn't be fair for us to not let you open that up. We'll at least let you open up your Christmas present from her. Which, come on, just kill her already. But she opens it up. Not before Art takes the wooden mallet and fucking breaks her hands. Both of her hands. And one of her, her pinky finger is pretty much completely lost all its skin. It's just like bone. But she has to rip off the wrapping paper. And of course, it's the magical sword from the last movie, which she uses to decapitate the possessed girl and stab Art with repeatedly. But what Sienna doesn't notice is that the corpse of the possessed girl has pretty much melted down into some steaming liquid that breaks the floor through, a part of the floor through, opening up a pit to hell, which her niece falls through, and it's just barely hanging on, so she has a decision. Let Art go and save her niece, or kill Art. What she does is she lets go of, unstabs Art from the wall, puts the handle of the blade down for her niece to grab while she holds the blade of the sword, and she loses her grip, so the sword pretty much slices both of her hands wide open as her niece and the sword fall into hell. And her hands heal up because sword magic, yippee, and the movie ends with Art the Clown boarding a city bus, and end credits. Now, Terrifier 3 is a movie. It actually has a plot. It is a great movie. Now, there is a few things I did leave out of this review that, I don't want to talk about, because there are a few things that, for one, I can't physically show on YouTube because copyright, the gore stuff, YouTube will throw his fit, which I know you're probably the same as me when I watch Dead Meat, and then come on, man, just put a version up on YouTube that we can watch. Unfortunately, I know firsthand now, that literally can't work, because even if you have a video that's demonetized or unlisted, YouTube will still find a way to put it as a strike on your channel, which is not good. So, unfortunately, not possible. But what you can do is go to your local movie theater, pay $20. Well, actually, if you're just going by yourself, $15. Going with somebody else, $20. And go see Terrifier 3 for yourself. That is the best advice I can give you, because I have left a few details out of this. I have left one major kill, which is probably the greatest kill in horror movie history, in my opinion. And that would be the shower scene, which, for one, I'm not getting into that because you need to see it for yourself. But overall, Terrifier 3 is definitely, if there isn't any other good horror movies coming out this year, Terrifier 3 is definitely the horror movie of the year, if not the horror movie of the past few years. Now, there are some things in the movie. During the beginning, some of the acting is slightly questionable, and there are a few lines that just seem out of place. However, all of that is immediately excused by the fact that you remember, the creator of Art the Clown in the movies started working a part-time job while he was also making the first movie. He started with nothing and built up to this point. To the point where Art the Clown is as iconic as Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees or Freddy or even Ghostface. And that is one hell of a thing to pull off. My hat's off to Damon Limone for that. David Howard Thornton's acting in this film is phenomenal. I really like how Art the Clown was very, very expressive with his face and everything in this movie, and it really brings it all together, and you just gotta love it. Now, without further ado, that's really a summary of the movie as well as my take on everything. And I really like it, and I am very excited for Terrifier 4 to come out, which apparently somehow they're already working on. And whenever Terrifier 4 does come out, you can guarantee that I will be seeing it, and I'll post a review of it myself. And with that, this has been Terror Haunts. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is different from my normal thing, but this will be a recurring theme. I will be doing just horror-led content in general. But without further ado, Terror Haunts. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Hope you like, subscribe, share, do whatever you want. Turn on the bell. And I'll see you later. Bye, everybody.